What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the No Blood, No Foul podcast. I'm a little muted and sad at the moment right now. Uh, this was a very, very rocky and roller coaster of a ride of a game. The final score was 112-100, but there's there, it just hurts. Anytime you make like a big comeback, like the Knicks bench just did, you just get such an endorphin rush, and then for it to come all crashing down because a fighting Irishman named Pat Connington just made it rain in the last quarter to like just stomp you out enough. The Knicks were down 24 at one point in the third quarter, and then Tibbs finally pulled all of the starters, and we're gonna have to discuss the starters at length tonight. And Derrick Rose, Emmanuel Quickly, and Obi Toppin just came out like gangbusters, and they look like an NBA team when they play. Like the starters are honestly, they look like a bunch of chickens running around with their heads cut off, with like no purpose in any of their movement. It's just like every guy takes a turn isolating. It's just ugly. It's ugly, 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 and the bench the bench had to close this game out, and we ended up tying the game. Very frustrating. I think we certainly need to speak a lot about Kemba Walker, but I'm going to toss to Moo real quick
Yeah.
and hear his thoughts on the game.
I mean, this was a game that they should have won. I mean, that's just the bottom line. It doesn't matter if the Bucks are the reigning champs. The Bucks they're not playing well either, right? As
Yeah.
a team, they were beatable. You cannot lose a game or actually even end the half behind when you hold um, Greek Freak to 1 for 6.
Yeah.
You can't. That was when I heard that, saw that, I was like, oh yeah, they're in trouble. Because you're not going to hold them down. And if you manage to do that and you're still trailing, I mean, that's just really not good. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. The starting lineup, there's certain key players. Something's got to happen. I don't think, we can say, well, the bench was great. At the end of the day, you can't win with the bench, right? You need your
Nope.
starters to win.
To
We
do to
really
do
win.
some to do
To do
something.
something, right? So
Yeah.
so while the bench looked great and it was super for the bench, big picture is this team is in trouble. Like I've said this before. I don't think this team can go any further than last year's team, and you could say last year's team was great. If this team repeats last season, it's not a good sign. Because time
They look
is a
worse.
wasting.
To
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I think they look worse.
I mean, how sad
Uh,
is it, right? If you say that, maybe they're better with Peyton.
I wow, I was
All
literally
right,
about to say
and
I
I'm
was
just gonna I'm
literally
just
about to
gonna
say
mute
that.
just gonna move for the rest of
Uh,
the season. He doesn't get to
uh,
talk anymore.
yeah.
Uh, Kemba might be worse.
He,
He's just giving you nothing out
he's
there.
got he's giving nothing. At least
He,
Peyton maybe give you some defense, some. Um,
yeah,
Kemba's not even doing that. He's doing nothing.
he's cooked.
He's
I was like all the Celtics fans online were kind of like rubbing it in and being like, yeah, you guys don't know what you're getting into. Kemba's cooked, and we're like, no, we had Peyton. It can't get any worse than that. It's at almost as bad as that. He's worse than nothing right now. It's ugly to see.
I mean, it was a bad sign when the Celtics basically rushed to basically buy him out.
Yeah.
That was not a good sign, right?
Well,
Regardless of.
you think it was just like, oh, they have a max salary on him, and he can easily give you that like mid level exception of value. But no, he's like as net negative as you can possibly
Yeah.
be. I wouldn't be shocked if he's bottom 10 in plus minus right now.
I mean,
You can't win with it at all.
you can't win this team, especially with the talent level, with what the guys can and can't do, and knowing what this team needed, coming out of last season, they can't win when Walker's playing like this.
No.
It's
And I don't know what it is with Evan Fournier either. I mean, I remember him being much more of a shot creator than he is right now. I mean, he's just strictly been catch and shoot. He doesn't really offer you any like dribble penetration at all. And I feel like I certainly remember him being like a 19 like 3-and-3 type of guy. So there was like playmaking that he offered and slashing, and we're seeing none of that.
Yeah, it's really hard to pin. I mean, when he was with Orlando, it wasn't like Orlando had a lot of great point guards or ball movement or talent or any of that stuff. And he
Right, but
did more, right? And the same thing with when he was with Boston. Um, I don't know. It kind of goes back, I think some part of this is the Knicks offensive system. You can say that the offense system can only do so much when you have Walker as your, point guard. But something's not right, and they're not able to figure out the starters that they have. There's talent there.
We just don't get penetration. I think
Yeah.
that's really what it is. I don't think you can really run any offensive system if nobody can break
hang
down
on.
the defense.
Can I interject for a second?
Sure.
First,
Sure, go for it.
let me say he. I'm
Only if
not
you put
quite
the
sure.
crying Jordan face on the screen.
No. So I'm not exactly sure where he's gonna end up because it hasn't updated for tonight. But coming into tonight, Kemba was 21st worst in plus minus. But with minus 22 tonight, he would be tied with Jeremy Grant for 7th worst. But that's also not considering how everyone else is going to change. With that being said, we talk about the offense. You guys are saying I don't know if you're saying it's worse than last year, but I'm just gonna say our best offense was when Elfrid Payton was not touching the ball, which he didn't provide us any driving kick. Reggie Bullock didn't provide us any driving kick. Those are the two guys we replaced on offense. You can say Mitch and Noel, but they're not giving you any driving kick either. So I don't think it's the fact that we don't have any driving kick that's the issue because we worked through that last year. And
we worked through that with Randall basically
being much better than he's been.
Exactly.
I think Randall has obviously taken a step back, and that was who and what generated our most offense. Even if RJ's been a little bit better, but he was pretty bad this evening as well.
Yeah.
That you can see that like we're still missing what we were missing last year. Just that there's been regression from our top two options.
Right, and the defense is worse.
And the defense is worse.
So can I just say on the defense then? You know what? I might say that Elfrid is a slightly better defender than Kemba, but not by much.
But that's only because Kemba's awful.
Yes, that is like. I still think Kemba's an upgrade just because he can hit threes and that being a threat gives us more space on offense. But when you watch the defense, right? When you defend the pick and roll, it's not just two guys playing defense. It's all five. All five guys have to play defense at once. So if you notice what's happening is because our guards can't get around screens very well, that causes and our centers aren't good enough to fully make up for that because that's a really hard thing to ask of a center is to make up for a bad defensive guard every single possession. And even RJ, even though he's much better in isolation defense, he's not great in pick and roll defense. So what happens is because of that, we're dropping a third guy in. So now we have a 3-2 advantage on the pick and roll, but that only leaves two guys to cover three shooters. So what's happening is, drive and kick. You can't. They're not getting consistent points off the penetration from the pick and roll, but you kick it out to a shooter. And I'm gonna say, I think our first cover, the first rotation is not terrible. I think guys do a very good job of getting to that first shooter. It's always the second one. Because once the pass goes out, the one guy goes to cover him, and the other four guys just kind of relax. But that's when they make that second pass, and that's what finds the open guy. And that's just a whole team thing. The whole team needs to be better at knowing where to go on defense, who needs to rotate when. That's just the whole thing.
You replace two guys that were defenders, and you can air quote it for Peyton or whatever. But I guess Peyton made his right rotations because obviously we are a step too slow on one of those closeouts. I mean, again, too, like we don't get any 50-50 balls either. Like I don't know if you've noticed it. And Moo, I know you missed the first half. But like there was multiple times that the starters would get a deflection and it would just end up in Milwaukee's hands for an open jumper or whatever. They don't rebound either. They don't deflect that. Even if they get deflections, it goes back to the same team. I mean, everything on the defensive end is just a complete mess.
I mean, I think part of the problem is the system can only do so much, right? I think the Knicks are even playing as, defensively average as they are because the system is there. But you can only do so much with the system if the players are just not, right? The majority of the players are just not good defenders. They don't have defensive instincts. They don't have the length or athleticism. So they're going to be slow, a step too slow, and that's all you need in the NBA for somebody to be open.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that repeatedly. The only
time and again. Yeah.
right. So, I know a lot of the guys on the board, look at it, it's like waffling, right? Knicks win, everything's great. Knicks lose, everything's, a disaster. It's somewhere in the middle. Right now, more towards potential disaster, right? Because the goal should be to go deeper than the first round.
Yeah.
So I think that, they need to do something. It doesn't matter if they win a game and everybody's, happy. Winning or losing, even the wins, you can see that there are things that they just can't do that they're going to need to be able to do if they want to move deeper into the playoffs.
I mean, it's a consistent third quarter collapse pretty much
right.
every single game, even in the games that we win.
Right.
They always make a run that the Knicks can't almost don't fight off.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if there's an adjustment or again we're just dealing with older players and they're just running out of gas. But like again, the starters just don't play with any tempo. They don't play with any pace.
But even the bench, they do what they do based on pure energy. Right?
I know.
It's not like they're running any greater of a system or they're doing things, that are team, not necessarily team oriented. I don't want to say, they're not playing as a team. They are, right? They're energetic. But a lot of it is just pure energy and Derrick Rose just being crazy.
Well, yeah, they get deflections, they create turnovers, they get the rebounds. I mean, Taj was great again tonight. You know, he boxes out and he grabs rebounds, and when you end those defensive possessions, and you have Derrick Rose who actually wants to run the basketball up the court, all of a sudden you create mismatches and actually action at the hoop. None of that happens with Julius Randle slowly dribbling up the court every single time. RJ, I feel like if RJ was in with the bench instead of Burks, he'd be thriving right now, and we'd probably be talking about Star J because he likes to run, and they all like to run. They all like to do the same thing, and the bench, the starters all don't play with that same pace.
Yeah, I think, you can say maybe part of it is still, Randall trying to get, Fournier and Kemba trying to get used to each other. That may be the case if it seemed like game by game they're getting better together. They're not.
Yeah.
So, sometime soon they need to think about cutting the cord or doing something. I know folks want to keep everyone and hope for the best, and then somebody steps up, and turns into a star. That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
I from my standpoint, it may be early, but I think they need to start looking to make a move for something. It doesn't have to be a superstar because obviously it's not easy to get, and Lillard's been awful. So has Harden. So I mean, part of that is potentially the rules that they put in to now allow
Harden seems to be coming around the corner,
right
a little bit.
But
I mean, we just need somebody that's going to inject some energy and some dribble penetration into the starting lineup.
I think if you could find someone that can consistently do that, Randall will be fine. Barrett will play much better. It's just right now it seems like they have no head, and they're just kind of doing things. Right when they're on the court together, there's
no chemistry whatsoever.
Right.
There's just no chemistry.
So you want to know what I think it might be? So Julius Randle is 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th in the league in isolation possessions per game.
Mm-hmm.
in terms of post-up possessions per game, he's 5th. So he's taking a lot of isolation shots, a lot of one-on-one basketball. That's 40% of his shots come off of one-on-one basketball. So I don't know what the numbers for that is, but that seems like a lot. It seems like that's higher than normal.
Do you know how much of where he was last year?
He was third in post-ups last year. I remember that because he was behind Jokic and like Embiid. I think.
No, he in terms of pure possessions, he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9th in post-ups, and for isolations,
maybe he was third in isolations.
7th. Oh wait, no, that's for this year. Reset. He was 4th in isolations.
Okay, so I was thinking isolations, not post-ups. But yeah, I think we're seeing that. I don't know if it's just like a lack of chemistry with the other guys, but again, it's like I feel like Tibbs's offense thrives in pick and roll, lead guard, getting dribble penetration. Right. So you're like relying in the old Carlos Boozer post-up stuff that he used to run, the run with those Chicago teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think he needs someone like MVP Rose, right? Because again, I don't think his offensive system it's necessarily bad, but it's not something that's going to knock your socks off, and you can't compensate when your players and your starters are struggling offensively.
Honestly, we probably would. I think going with Schroeder instead of Kemba would have been the way to go.
Yeah,
like. At least, Schroeder's a little bit of a ball hog, but he'd at least slash a little bit. Yeah, Kemba's just a corpse up there, and I don't think it's like fair just to beat up on the point guard every year because it seems to be that's like the position we desperately need. But yeah, I mean, we just don't get any defensive rotations with the starters.
Yeah.
And like even when RJ penetrates, I mean, he had a great pass the other night. He found somebody in the corner for a 3. But like, you need more of that, And because of that lack of first step, he doesn't get that much difference from the guy that's covering him. Even when he's going around the screen, he doesn't get that separation.
Right.
And
right.
Rose and IQ seem to be the only guys that really do that. Honestly, maybe at this point it's time to try again. I guess I don't even know why I'm going to say it. Why bother? Because Tibbs is not going to start IQ. But it just there's got to be some sort of switch up that you can do to like get the offense started.
I mean, you could swap in Rose. I mean, I think that would be probably the most likely thing to do. And then that just means how do you handle is Walker okay with it mentally because you don't need him to be any more in a funk by now coming off the bench because that is definitely a demotion, right? He came in as the starter and the expectation is that he would start. If you move him to the bench, what does that say for him and how does that translate? Because they at the end of the day they need him or someone else.
So right? I was gonna ask Kyle to see if we have a team option for him next year, and you just send him home.
Ooh, Kemba? No.
Yeah,
that's
Penny Hardaway him.
So actually, interestingly enough, I'm looking over the pick and roll ball handler stats. Kemba's actually fairly decent. He's 70th percentile. He's shooting at 52.7% effective field goal. Scoring just under 1 point per possession on it, and that's actually significantly better than Derrick Rose, who's only scoring 0.81 points per possession.
But I think the problem is he doesn't possess the ball.
He's taking more pick and roll shots than Derrick Rose is.
Yeah.
So this isn't counting tonight, by the way, which I'm pretty sure is going to take a tank. But if you ignore volume and just look at efficiency, Quickly is our best pick and roll guy. He only takes a little over 1.5 a game, but he's scoring 1.11 points per possession off it. So
I feel like this is sometimes when the advanced stats just like are so far out of line with what we see on the court. Well, like I'm certainly not doubting any of those numbers, but I mean Kemba's just been absolutely atrocious. Except I mean, he's had a handful of games where he's hit a bunch of threes coming around a
Yeah,
screen.
I was gonna
So like
say. That's
I
what I
feel
was gonna
like
say.
that has to skew it
Yeah, that's what I was
pretty
gonna say.
far.
Is this is where you have to look at it as you have to watch the games to know what this is. So what it is Kemba takes a lot of pull ups off the dribble from three. So he's gonna be
Yeah.
taking a lot of screens into pull up threes, and so it may look worse, but technically efficiency wise, he'll do better than it looks. But then it also turns into because he's not really driving to the rim, he's not doing that drive and kick, even though he personally is scoring decently efficiently, he's not really doing the same thing for the team as say like Derrick Rose is. Even though he's less efficient, he's still getting to the rim and getting those
Right.
drive and kick opportunities.
Right. And that in part may be why Randall's reverted back to bad Randall. Because I mean, at some point, if your 1A or 1B option coming in is option 4, option 5, option 9, or whatever it is right now, somebody's got to do it, right? Somebody's got to do something. And unless you're gonna trust Fournier to start creating off the dribble, I mean, they really don't have a lot of choices other than passing it back to Randall and having Randall try the same things he did last season. Which
Yeah.
I think is what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you just got to give Fournier some pick and roll opportunities and see what can happen. I mean,
The thing with what I've
you
noticed,
saw. Oh,
yeah,
go.
yeah, I've noticed that Fournier he started off moving really well, right, the first start of the season, but he's kind of not been moving really
Yeah.
all that much. So even if you say, well, he passed to Randall and Randall should look for him to be open, he's not really getting himself open, right? The only
There was a lot more like pin downs and like running him off some of the screen
right,
actions.
right, right, and that may go back again to what I'm saying about the Knicks, and their offensive system not being able to figure out these players, right?
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I
Yeah,
think you're seeing that like the chemistry is regressing
right.
with them. They didn't really fit together super well previously, but like it's getting worse, not better, and
Mhm.
that's not a good sign.
Yep.
And it wasn't like they did anything crazy defensively.
Right. Right.
Obviously, the bench was able to storm back in.
But
So
I think also I think Clyde said it, and Wally might have said it also. If your offense struggles, it just makes everything else a struggle because it's not
yeah,
only trying to fighting uphill. It's not just the offensive problem; it's the defensive problem as well. Because now you're being pressured to make stops, and you overplay. You're too aggressive. You leave guys open, and it just kind of just spirals. They're still 7 and 5 now.
yeah. I mean, again, it's not the sky is falling,
Mhm.
but it just seems that the wheels are starting to come off a little bit,
Right,
and
and you don't want to make it start thinking about making a move when the wheel's almost off.
right,
'Cause-
yeah. Because also, he's like, if things really, really fall apart, like, why not hunt for a lottery pick? I don't know when that time comes, but yeah, maybe that I'm also putting the cart a little bit in front of the horse with that one too. Because, like you said, we're still 7-5, but this like consistent third quarter collapse um, is a big issue.
Mhm.
And we were only down. We were down by 11, I believe, at half. So it's like that's not even like that super close of a score either. You felt the momentum shifting towards the Bucks.
Right,
Like,
right,
and it was like I mean, before things got like super hairy, the thing that I didn't really understand in the first half, it was that Mitch was guarding Giannis very well, and Bobby Portis, they eventually Randall switched back onto him, and Bobby Portis started going off because Mitch had to guard the perimeter, and it was just one of those little things that I noticed that like just didn't make any sense to me. And then eventually you see Mitch like walking around holding his hand, putting his hand on his hip. So
mhm,
I don't know if I mean he's certainly not 100% either, but it was just weird to see like you had something that was working, and then you would go away from it, and then you would put your injured center into like a more precarious position.
yeah. I mean, you see that a lot. I think Taj is the one guy that's both smart enough to play defense and that can physically play defense. on this team right now. I'm not sure if anyone else I would consider a plus defender.
Not even Mitch.
I mean,
I
I've
don't
been
know.
loving Obi. I've been loving
Yeah.
Obi Toppin this season.
Oh yeah, Obi.
Obi's.
Yeah, I think Obi's done well. True.
Should we talk about some nice things? Because I'm upset about everything else that's going on. I feel like we should bring up IQ. I think we should mention Obi Toppin.
Sure.
I think we touched on Taj a little bit, and obviously, Eric Rose is he. That's the frustrating thing is with Rose is that there's still greatness in him, and his body is just not going to allow him to unleash it.
Right.
I mean, he was so great tonight.
Yeah. And at this pace, he's going to be done before the playoff comes, and they're again screwed.
Yeah.
So.
But so it seems that IQ has definitely found his rhythm. It was looking really rough. I'm glad that I was one of the people that did not want to give up with him. I wanted to give up on Alex Burks more. And I'm glad that Quickly's proven me right. But he's caught fire. It's been sorely missed, and he really provided an extra. Like they ended up standing Burks in the corner, and you see it with IQ. He needs to get like a couple dribbles into his shot before he can shoot. He's not a guy that you can just park in the corner and get and shoot. And he just caught fire. He was drawing fouls. He was getting into the paint. He had the second most assists tonight as the 2 guard next to Rose. So he was creating a bunch. Had a sick alley oop to Obi Toppin. Any IQ thoughts, guys?
He's good.
He's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely stepping it up. So I agree. He's an energy guy. He's a streaky guy. He's very confident. That's the stuff you love about him, right? It doesn't matter. If the team is down, team is up. You're playing the world champs. You're playing whatever, right? He's not shooting all. He's not afraid.
He's fun too. He's
right,
like fun
and
to
he's
watch.
fun. He's very energetic, and I think that rubs off on his teammates. So I expect him as he ages, that he'll clean up his game a little bit, and he'll be a little more stable, and he'll be a guy that his teammates will love to play with.
And he's actually got a layup package now, which we were kind of hammering on him a little bit in the last game.
That was something he has to work up on. He can't just be shooting threes.
Yeah, he had a bunch of nice finger rolls tonight at the rim. I was thoroughly impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I think what would be good for IQ is you attach someone like Lou Williams to him, and just say IQ learn.
Yeah,
I
think he watches a lot of CJ McCullough. I feel like I remember that from the preseason. That was the guy. Like obviously like. They had like some like him and Lou Williams last year, like chatted a bunch during some Clippers games, But I think CJ McCullough is the guy that he's been really looking after, which is like a step above that Lou Williams stuff. Which I mean, please, we're desperate for perimeter scoring.
Yeah.
I mean, the sad thing is that like RJ had a couple nice jumpers tonight, and then he. Grayson Allen went under a screen on him, and he put up a 3, and it was like a complete UFO. It's not even close.
Yeah, I feel like RJ had a bad game, but not like I feel like it wasn't as bad as I think. I don't think it was bad enough to warrant not playing the entire rest of the game after he got subbed out.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I can understand chemistry, whatever. I don't know. Maybe I just don't like Alec Burks, and I thought RJ, even like not good RJ would still be an upgrade over him.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I mean, yeah, he was bad, but like not like the reason we lost bad. Like he was like 3 of 5 going into halftime for like 7 points or whatever. So like he was okay. I mean, I think it was Fournier and Kemba that were really the guys to blame this evening.
They should be sad. They shouldn't. Those two shouldn't have came back to the game.
Yeah, like even Randall was mediocre too. Like, but like neither of them were like really the reason I thought.
But it's that last game when it was all of the starters out, they looked like crap, right? And then later in the game, Rose stayed in. And they then brought Randall in, and Randall played a lot better.
Yeah.
So I think it at the crux of the core of this whole thing, I think it is Walker and Fournier. That starting backcourt.
They need to be.
It's
They need to be better. I mean,
yeah.
again, 1 of 7 for Kemba, one of 5 Fournier, 2 points each. I mean, this is like Frank Ntilikina stuff that we're seeing from them.
And especially now, right, with the NBA, you're winning, guards. It's a guards league, guards win, and you cannot have your starting backcourt with 4 points.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like RJ being 21 and Randall not being the most efficient guy in the world. Like, they're gonna have off games. They're obviously not. They're not your LeBrons, your Lucas, those type of guys. So it's like you really need your other starters to like show up and give you something. And it's just that, like, I feel like for the past week, maybe even longer, Kemba and Fournier have been nothing at all.
So
and that's a lot of money.
You want to know some fun facts about Derrick Rose and Kemba with the starters?
Sure.
So with Kemba by the way, I just want to say, fun fact: Kemba Walker has a negative net rating with every player he's played with this year except Nerlens Noel, and they've only played 10 minutes together, so that's not a big sample size.
Yeah.
So Kemba and Julius Randle is a negative 11.3. Kemba and RJ, negative 11.6, because they basically played the same, 277 minutes together. Now, you switch that to Rose and Randle, they're a plus 11.4. Rose and RJ, plus 17.2.
Right. Exactly.
And, yeah. And
because you definitely know there's been a few times that RJ has played with the bench, either at the 4 or the 3, and they make a run. I mean, there's been a few times that like they've been down big, and like that bench group and RJ has made something happen, made a quick comeback.
And here's another one too. Kemba and Fournier, negative 11.1. Rose and Fournier, plus 20.7.
Wow,
that one's a much smaller sample size because Rose and Fournier only played 73 minutes together, but still.
So the bench unit with Taj Gibson in the most effective 5-man lineups, they're number 1, but only in 61 minutes. So just also some food for thought. 113.5 offensive rating, 93.5 defensive rating. So maybe the bench just needs to be our starters. And I think the problem is we're relying on 2 ancient bulls to lead the way, like Rose and Taj Gibson.
So can I just say, earlier today, some people were throwing out, "Hey, maybe we should go get John Wall," and I was like, "Well, first, let's wait for him to get bought out. If anything, I do not want to pay that guy
$7 million.
Yeah, no, he's owed $90 million over the next 2 years.
Right.
So I do not want to pay him that. He is nowhere near worth that.
No.
And I was like, man, let's really go get another injury-prone, over 30-year-old point guard.
You know why they're doing that, right? Because they're saying, "Oh, we could get him for a song and dance," and rather than trading some future first-round picks and whatever McBride and Grimes for a real, whatever it is. That's the kind of I had mentioned in the board. It's kind of like half in, half out type of a move, right? If you think
we're just continuously dumpster diving to find a point guard,
it doesn't work. I mean, the Yankees have tried it for the last 10 years and it doesn't work.
We're gonna piece together our pitching by dumpster diving.
Right, dumpster diving for guys with blown arms.
Y'all can't say that about the Yankees. The Yankees are good. I'm a Colorado Rockies fan. All right, don't
that's terrible.
About that. Maybe we should try the Colorado Rockies method. Here, have our best player, and we'll pay you $50 million to take him.
No, but you know what? If you look at the standings right now, there really is no top team. Right? I think, right? If you have to say,
the Bulls look really good.
Yeah, but you kind of just like with the Wizards, right? I think they're tied for first place.
Yeah, I mean they feel Fugazi.
Yeah, you're feeling the wheels.
Feel Fugazi.
But you kind of feel the wheels may come off at some point. I mean, I think if you look, I mean, there's the Heat, right? They're just playing like like the Heat, and maybe the Nets just pure talent, right? It's really hard to beat KD and Harden, and then Irving to come back at some point. And it's just but everybody else the rest of the conference, other than Orlando and Detroit, I mean, those are teams that can actually make it, and maybe Charlotte, right? The rest of the teams are able to.
Charlotte's actually solid.
Right.
I mean, we're looking. I think that outside of, and I think you're right. I think Brooklyn, and we'll wait and see with this Milwaukee Bucks team. I feel like it's only a matter of time before they turn it around.
Well, that's because they don't have Chris Middleton.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But you know what?
Well,
there's that.
Their second best player, who is really good, for been missing for most of the year. Drew Holiday missed some games. Brooke Lopez has been out basically the whole time. So that's 3 of their 4 starters right there.
All right, so yeah, we can. I mean, let's just say the Bucks are going to make a comeback, but after that, I mean, there's not a lot of space between Chicago, Miami, the 76ers, the Cavs are decent. Obviously, the Raptors are crazy long and young.
And the Hawks are actually 4-8 in 13th place right now.
Yeah,
right?
they're
going to
really
make
bad. Yeah, and obviously the Pacers haven't been healthy, but they've got their like mediocre. There's a lot of like. But everyone's mediocre in the East except for 2 teams.
But that's the thing, right? There is really the East is can be had if you can make the right moves. It's not like where there's no way you could get past one team or another.
Yeah.
So the Knicks can choose to let's just tread water some more and let's hope for it to get lucky, or let's look at a retread like Wall, even if he gets bought out. Yeah, I mean, okay, you bring him in for the whatever they can offer him, and then what? If he stinks it up like Kemba, then what does that really do? It does really just waste time. I think if the Knicks feel that if we add someone, right, if we take our eggs, our asset eggs, and move it, and add someone or two, and we can potentially come out of the East. I think that's something that they need to seriously consider. Right.
Sure, who's that guy? Who's that guy that's going to be available?
I just want to point out. Hang on. I just want to point out before this goes any further that a year ago, Moo thought that guy was going to be Russell Westbrook. So just let that color everything he's saying.
You don't necessarily always want to listen to what I say, but no. But you know what? How's Westbrook doing this year?
Terrible.
Horrible.
Is he terrible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
He is
Which is why Kyle brought that up. Because he's been awful.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, again, with how bad Kemba's been, I don't mind trying to dumpster dive on Wall this season. Again, it depends on who and what becomes available. I hope they don't. I hope they don't do the Ben Simmons thing, but
he would.
He would though. He can play defense. He'd
actually
get into the paint a little bit.
His contract is the problem, and his mental.
But that's the only guy that's really on the market right now.
I think that the problem with Simmons is the contract is one, and is a questionable mental, fortitude, which in New York is probably not.
I'm just trying to point out the people that may be available. It's really.
I think Lillard.
I
think Lillard is available. I think Jeremy Grant can be made available because they don't really need him. They're going nowhere, and they don't need him. I think those 2 guys are available. Right, just scanning from the pretty obvious. Right. So, and in Portland at some point, where are they in the standings? I think they're again towards the bottom, right? 9. Right. They're treadmill and they're aging. And that's
why it's like at this point, do you even want Lillard? Can Lillard bounce back?
I think so. I think he doesn't want to be there. He may say that he does. I think if you put him somewhere else where the talent's a little bit better, the coaching staff is a little bit better, there's more pressure, and there's more likelihood of doing something, that he will re-energize. I wouldn't give up, the farm for him, right? Because he's playing awful right now. So maybe that is the opportunity for the Knicks to get him without, having to go empty the tank, right? So definitely look for that. I mean, the other team that they've talked about, Philly, possibly being a target for Lillard. There's really nothing they can offer. What are they going to offer? Tobias Harris and his gigantic contract.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Simmons that they're going to build the package.
The Blazers would be crazy to take Simmons. I take.
I don't know. I feel like it's probably better. I don't know. It's probably a little bit better than what we have to offer. I don't know.
Right. And I think if just hypothetically, if they could add Lillard, I think Lillard, he's healthy. He's just doesn't seem mentally in it. So if he's tuned in, turned on, he's kind of exactly the thing the Knicks need. He's the number one. He's an alpha. It would then allow Randall to not have to be what has to be.
Yeah.
And that should trickle down for him to be better because he'll get easier opportunities. Right now, it's clear. You stop the Knicks by stopping Randall. So anytime he touches the ball, it's the same thing like the Hawks, right? You throw guys at him, you make it difficult for him to really get comfortable. And then if anybody else on the Knicks can beat you, great.
And the sad thing is that we like spent all this money in adding all this offense and all these guys that can create off the dribble
right,
off
it's
next
not,
to Randall, and it's just not working. It's not.
Right. And Lillard is a big game guy, right? He's on bad teams, but when you need him, he comes in. He's not afraid. He will do what's needed. Then you get.
The problem with all this Lillard talk is that he's not here.
That's
so
correct.
it's kind of moot, like I would love to talk about more hypotheticals, but I just feel like it's not really worth discussing unless he's like actually available and actually asks out. Because you're right, he would help this team immensely.
Right.
I mean, we had a couple great games where Kemba Walker went off,
You
and
can see,
you could see the difference of having that shot creation. I mean, it helped us win the 76ers game. Like just running some pick and roll with him, Kemba and Randall helped create easier shots for Randall. Even Kemba got an attempt at the rim and an and one. Lillard can add so much more of that. But like unless the guys in the backcourt start hitting shots, things are gonna get too bogged down on ISO Randall and then pick and roll RJ, because that's what it really feels like the starter offense is.
That's what they're doing. Right. Whether it's because they have no better options, or because
that's the best. That's the best options right now. That's what we're dealing with.
Right.
So, I feel like we've said enough about this game.
What's it? Yeah. I mean, Obi. We didn't talk about Obi.
Oh yeah. Obi's great.
Obi's growing. Yeah, he's blossoming.
I mean, it's like he's blocking shots, he's deflecting the ball, he's boxing out. He's
being aggressive.
The funny thing is he probably attacks guards off the dribble better than Randall.
Anybody, he might be the best attacker off the dribble on the team.
He's the best. He's certainly the best finishing in the paint, over people. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was a momentum killer. That foul the block that was really a foul. Mm-hmm. Giannis got him in the arm before he blocked the shot. Foul.
There was a couple of times where I think Giannis got calls that just is still because he's Giannis, and I thought they were stopping that. He got ticky tack. The Knicks got a call on a whole bunch of ticky tack where they just barely touched him. And
there was one time that he should have been fouled on a 3-pointer earlier in the game when he like jumped into somebody, and it was like definitely like a foul. But I was still happy that they didn't call it, because as a Knicks fan. Should we? I guess we should do Scrub of the Night, even though I think we're all hammering on the same person. Moo, go first.
Scrub is Kemba Walker. He's been the scrub of the season so far for the Knicks. Just right when you consider
the scapegoat.
The scapegoat, except he looks like his mind's already escaped somewhere else.
He's already in the Caribbean. He's already in the Caribbean.
Yeah. So definitely Kemba is my pick.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say Evan Fournier just to be different than you, and I kind of expected more from Evan this season than I did of Kemba. Like I definitely thought there was a possibility Kemba could be washed.
Right.
I let some Tommy Beer stats get me hyped into thinking the opposite. And I need more from you, Evan Fournier. So you're my scrub for the night. Do you want to add anything?
I can go. I'm gonna go outside this game to a little town known as Denver, Colorado. My scrub of the night Chris Duarte.
Thinking
So
it
the
up.
game isn't even over yet, by the way. I just want to add, but he's been subbed out. Tonight he's at 2 for 9 shooting, 2 for 7 from 3, 6 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. That's a real, and he's a year older than Obi, by the way. I just want to keep pointing that out.
Oh, so you have someone you can finally bully that's not on the team because Obi's good now. Obi's good now. So
yeah, yeah.
No more low blows for Obi.
Like I know people really like him, and he's pretty decent. But I don't get the people who are like, "Oh, we should have traded up for him." It's like, I mean, let's ignore what we did with our first round picks. I don't think he was worth 2 first round picks. And he's a year older than Obi is now, who I kept going on about how old Obi was last year when he was a year younger.
I don't know. He's had a couple like games in the high 20s. I feel like that would be real nice instead of Evan Fournier right now.
Yeah. Actually, since we're on that,
you do know. Even if we had drafted him, even if we had traded up to take him, we still would have signed Fournier, and he would have been coming off the bench for the entire season.
Yeah, but we could have saved money on Alec Burks,
and we still would have re-signed Alec Burks too.
I must be the one guy that actually likes Burks.
He was good tonight. I will give you that. He seems to be coming alive as well. I think he was okay in Philly as well.
I mean, I mentioned this last season. I think what Burks does that Tibbs likes is that he's not flashy, but he just he's stable and he doesn't make too many mistakes. And
stable.
Yeah.
He's the opposite of stable. What stable are you looking at?
No.
He's one of the most inconsistent players.
No.
Yes.
Can't be. No.
Yes. Yes. All right, that's our show tonight, folks.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm tired. I'm tired. No. I hate this team. Kemba Walker's the worst.
They need to make a move.
Yeah.
Real gym board. Guys, forget about hoarding your assets. Right?
Trade for somebody.
A smoke and mirror, 35 first-round picks in the next 8 years.
Yeah, so Knicks lose 112-100. I think we have a game on Friday.
Do we? I guess so.
Yeah. Oh, we're playing Charlotte. So LaMelo Ball is coming to town, which we should have traded up for him. Like the rumor said we might have. So, yeah. So game Friday night Knicks, Robert Randolph, Friday nights, MSG, ding, 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 ding. All right, enough of that.
Nothing like that.
A little bit like that.
I was wondering what I thought it was. I remembered the team a little bit differently. Yeah. So
you're saying that I'm not a correct musician? I'm doing it wrong?
Hey, no. I said it doesn't sound like that. You're still better than Robert Randolph.
At least my Knicks takes aren't as bad as his. Yeah. So that's for something. Mm-hmm. All right. So that's another episode of the No Blood, No Foul podcast. I hope you like what you heard, and we out.